S1E2. Welcome to the Laborhood. That's all. That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. Welcome back, everybody. You must have liked episode 1 because here you are back to listen to episode 2.
Back again.
And we are so glad that you are here. This episode, we're going to get into a little bit more. We're going to talk about, kind of start dipping our toe into the neighborhood pool. And this episode, we're going to cover who might be a part of your labor or birth experience as a whole. The people that you might come in contact with while you're there, even when you first get there, all the way up until the people when you go home. So this episode is kind of titled Know Your People, Know Their Role, know what they gonna do, know what capacity they work in. And first up, who you might expect is the provider. Providers can be an OBGYN, which is who most people see. There's also somebody else who is kind of coming onto the scene that a lot of people are wanting to see, and that's certified nurse midwives.
We've been on the scene. I just wanted to put that out there.
They have.
We was on the scene before OBs was on the scene.
Okay.
Do your research.
Okay. Not we get ate up. Okay. Not we get ate up. Okay. But first up, we have our OBGYN. So your OBGYNs are medical doctors who have gone to medical school, medical school, residency, all those things, and gone into the specialty of obstetrics. OBGYNs are who you'll see, in the office, and that's who you'll see during your delivery. OBGYNs do your C-sections.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about OBGYNs is that, they are medical doctors, and some practice different than others.
A lot of people practice like they just have their own way of practicing.
Yes.
Even though they're all in the same building together, they
Yes.
may not practice the same way.
Yeah. And I think that's important to know and understand when you are choosing a provider.
Right.
Some providers, like some practices, you will see all the providers. You will kind of bounce around. You might not see the same provider every time you're there. Some practices, they do what's called specialing their patients, which is you go into that office, you choose a particular doctor, and that's who you will see every single time you go into the office, and that is who actually delivers you.
It's rare.
It is rare. Not a lot of practices do.
No.
Not like
That's
I
a
think
lot of smaller practices will do that.
like I think I know like one.
Yeah, and she in a practice by herself.
Not her, but yeah, her. But another practice where like a lot of the doctors within that practice special their patients.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Okay. We just trying to like not say their names, but shout out to them. If you know, you know. So yes, because I can't tell you how many times I've had patients go into the hospital, they get ready to deliver, and the doctor that they walk in their room is somebody that they have never seen before, or that they only seen one time, and it was very early on in the pregnancy.
Or not seen it all.
Because that can happen. And
I've seen it all.
And unfortunately, it might not even be your favorite one. Like, and that happens too. That happens too.
So like, you see Dr. So-and-so? And they're like, who?
Or they'd be like, yeah. The energy. Kind of changes.
They're the ones who's here today.
And yeah. So yes, unfortunately, it doesn't always fall exactly how we want, but certainly, again, talk to your provider and see like how they rotate. If you like a certain provider and you really just want to only see them, ask them
if they do that.
Ask them if they do what's called special to their patients. So that's your OBGYN. Next up, I'm gonna let Shay take it because yeah, that's her. That's her.
So in North Carolina, we have certified nurse midwives who can also do your prenatal care. And a lot of the practices in North Carolina are the midwives are in with OBs.
Hmm.
So you can go to the office and see midwives within an OB practice.
Gotcha.
But the same thing, like especially if there are midwives and OBs in the practice together, you might not see that midwife for your delivery. A lot of times, what we tell patients is you're going to see a plethora of people. Like, even when I was in clinical, we would say, all right, so now that you're getting closer to the end, we want you to see all the midwives in the practice. So it's not like foreign to you when they come in
Mm-hmm.
when you are in labor.
That makes sense.
Now, there are a couple, and I ain't saying no names, but there are a couple who will be like, all right, sis, I'm in the office every Wednesday,
Hmm.
or I'm in the office every other Friday. And you can, like, when you make your schedule, I mean, when you go to schedule your appointments, you can be like, hey, can you put me on Shay's schedule?
Period.
The caveat to that is if you know that I'm in the office every Friday and you go in to have your baby on Friday,
Shay's not there.
I might not be there.
Shay's not there because
I'm
Shay's at the office.
right. Am I right? But typically, that's like what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know I've heard this question many, many times. What is the difference in these two providers in your OBGYNs and your certified nurse midwives?
So your certified nurse midwives, a lot of us typically are low risk. So that means like you are easy peasy birth. You don't have like a lot of comorbidities or anything like that. I practice at a practice where I practice at the top of my scope. So we do
I know that's right.
some we do a little more high risk stuff
Mhm.
like gestational hypertension or gestational diabetes.
Yes, because the hospital that I work at, I feel like a lot of those midwives do not
Yeah.
work at the top of their scope.
Right,
And
right,
you
right.
will only see OBGYNs if you have any of those.
Exactly.
Anything other than regular schmegular, you're not seeing the midwife. Whereas, when I worked where you work,
Yeah.
midwives, they took care.
Yeah,
We took
we
care of
do it
everybody. Yeah,
all.
took care of everybody. Yeah.
But it's more so like a collaborative practice because
Very much so.
I'm not gonna manage your diabetes necessarily. Like if you are a type 1 diabetic,
Right, right,
I'll
right.
be like, all right, let me get you on with the docs. We'll get
Mhm.
your insulin and everything under control, and then you can come back to me.
Mhm.
Like you'll see both of us.
Gotcha.
Most midwives in the area typically like if you start talking about medications and stuff, it's like I'm gonna
Yeah.
pass you off. Let me
I'm gonna
refer
get you
you.
to the physician. How about that?
Like I said, typically if it's something minor, because
Mhm.
with today's age of society, everybody's
Something,
something.
something,
It's
something in
not
their
just
history.
like
Yeah.
regular schmegula no
Yeah.
more. And so a lot of midwives are starting to practice at the top of their scope because
Mhm.
of that.
Oh, okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. And when you say like midwives have like that more of like that holistic approach, because a lot
Right,
of certified
right.
nurse midwives went to nursing school
Yes.
first instead of like medical school.
Right. And so we have like it's just a very different bedside manner. We
Hmm.
started off as a nurse specifically. And
Right.
so we know how to care for patients, we know how to talk to patients.
Hmm.
It is more of a holistic approach.
Hmm.
Now, I will say like let's say you do have something that causes you to get a C-section on your first baby. You probably going to see a doctor because yes, we do VBACs, but we need to know why you.
Tell the people what a VBAC
Oh, I'm
is.
sorry. My bad. A VBAC is a vaginal birth after cesarean section. Yeah, like I said, we do VBACs, but like let's say you had something very wild go on with your first one and you have not the normal incision.
Mhm.
You can't come to me because
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
In the event that you need a repeat C-section, I can't do the cutting.
Yeah. Right. I can't do it. Cut or the collar.
Right, the cutting or the calling. Yeah, I can't do neither one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neither one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you think of midwives, think of everything in your prenatal care, everything delivery, postpartum, holistic approach. However, I don't do surgeries. Like, that's the thing. Now, there are midwives who do not, they assist in surgeries, but they don't do them on their own.
Gotcha. Okay. And even, I do want to talk about just a little bit. There are certain physicians who have a more holistic approach as well.
Yes.
And
Yes.
their credentials, it's not MD, it's DO, which is Doctor of Osteopathic Health, I believe. Which is what I see. Shout out to Dr. Cecilia Banga at Greensboro OBGYN.
Love you.
She is a DO. And so her approach is definitely a little more holistic. She's not too quick to put you on some meth because I can distinctly remember. But back in the day, I've been seeing her since like 2016.
Okay.
And so I was on night shift, having a hard time sleeping, and I wanted to be put on Ambien, which
Oh, you wanted to just
baby,
jump straight
knocked me out. Okay, I was getting like 3 hours of sleep after working a whole shift and couldn't go back. Like I was falling asleep but not staying asleep, and so I was very tired. I was very tired, and so I went to her and I was like, Dr. Manga, I need to be put on some Ambien. Like I can't do it. I'm sleepy. I'm tired. I'm not staying asleep. I need to do something. She was like, no. No.
I was like, you went straight to the heart.
So listen, because at that time we worked with a lot of nurses, and I felt like everybody was on Ambien. Like
Yeah,
a lot of people took
okay.
Ambien, but if you what you don't know about Ambien is, baby, once you own it, you own it. You are on it. You are on Ambien, and she did not want me to be that way. Like I was very
I
young,
was like, you were young and
young, fresh, 20 something, want to be slapped on Ambien because I couldn't sleep. Turns out I just needed some blackout curtains, and I was just fine. So, but yeah, like when I asked for Amy, she was like, no. She was like, we're gonna try, some melatonin, some Sequel, some.
if you are a provider and you have prescription authority, don't just be passing out medications.
Well, baby, let me say something. The folks was passing out Ambien, okay, and I was
Like they passing out with Gobi. You heard me say it.
I'm not jumping on that soapbox today. I'm not jumping on that one. I got another soapbox I'm gonna get on later. I'm not jumping on that one, but
I just don't know enough. If you see me, know that I don't know enough about it to feel like I could put you on it.
yeah, no. But yeah, she was very much like, no, we're gonna try, some ZQL, some melatonin before we even get it. And she said, if none of that works, we will talk about putting you on a very, very, very low dose.
Like melatonin or some sleeping.
I felt like that wasn't working. That was not enough. Like it was putting me to sleep, but baby, I was be awake like 3 hours, like wide awake. It was terrible. Anywho, got my blackout curtains, was sleeping 7 hours. It was great.
Look at that.
It was great. But yes, so those DOs definitely I feel like lean a little more towards that
Okay.
that
Holistic approach.
that holistic approach.
Okay. Shout out to the DOs. Shout out to all the docs and
And she did
midwives.
not play about that DO either. Like
Really?
she does not play about it. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. But yeah, I'm not an MD. I'm a DO. And I love that. Love her. Love her down. Okay.
Shout out to the providers.
Yes, for sure. So next up, I'm I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased.
Oh, a little.
But this is probably the most important person that you are going to come in contact with during this entire
I do
experience.
agree with that. I do agree with that.
Baby, and that's the nurse. That's the nurse. You're going to see a nurse from beginning to end. Literally, the nurse. Probably going to be the ones to cut the hug sack off the baby as you are rolling down the hall to go home.
Really, they're the ones that like walk you to the door.
Walk to the car.
We're putting you in the car.
Yes.
You see them in the office. You see them everywhere.
You see nurses everywhere. Which is why it's super, super important to establish a relationship with the nurse.
Absolutely.
Because we are your advocate. We are there to support you in whatever decision.
Ride or die.
Literally.
Would you say I'm a stick?
That's your man. I'm a stick beside him. That's him. That's stick beside him. Yes, like we're gonna stick beside you. But we just need to know what we're advocating for.
Yeah.
What we're advocating for.
It's really like a two-person job.
Very much so.
Know your patient. You got to be able to read the room when you like walk in.
Yes.
Like,
what some tension.
Right.
Like what we need to talk about before we go any further. what do we need to talk about? So definitely, get to know your nurse. Tell your nurse what you want, what you don't want.
Yeah.
Tell her what you're afraid of because that's super important too.
Yeah.
Tell her if you're afraid of epidurals. Tell her if you're afraid of having a C-section. Tell her
Yeah.
if this is your rainbow baby, if this is
Mhm.
the anniversary of your best friend's death. Like, because so many of those things can
Impact you.
interfere.
Yeah. And they can
Yeah.
like really impact your mental health, and like stuff like that can be your make or break. Stuff like that can be like why you're progressing or why you're not
Yes,
progressing.
because maybe you have 17 things on your mind,
Yeah.
like maybe, or if I've had people that are like worried about their children at home. And so it's like we kind of got to talk through that to get them focused on like what's currently going on
Right.
at that point.
You know, a lot of the people, I don't want to toss this word around because some of it is very true and some of it is like, I
Mhm.
don't think that was necessarily a traumatic experience,
Mhm.
but like birth traumas, like how
Yeah.
did your last birth go? Is this going to be triggering for you?
Yeah.
Was your last birth a rainbow baby, which means this is your first baby after a loss?
Mhm.
Like those things, tell your nurse. We need to know.
No, I want
We need
I
to know.
want to know because that literally creates the whole picture. And it again, that's where it goes back to treating each patient as the individual. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
I know that this day or this is triggering for you, then I know how to approach it in a different way so that it's not so traumatic for
Right,
you.
right.
So definitely, like, because and even once you tell me, then I can tell the provider. And so now we're all
Oh,
working
right. Yep.
together on this team to give you the best birth experience possible.
And we literally do that. Like, let's say that you were coming on, I would come to you as a midwife and you the nurse, and I'd be like, "Hey, Bria, how's our patient doing? Like,
Mhm.
what am I about to
Yes.
walk into?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Like, does she have a
Yes.
trifold board as a birth plan?
Yeah. Maybe it's a 3-ring binder, just
Okay.
pages and pages of stuff that you need to know.
Okay.
But guess what? I'm gonna read it and we're gonna talk through it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Or is it like, nah, she just real cool. She relax.
And we go with the flow.
Right.
Go with the flow. Go with the flow. But yeah, that's so true. That's so true. But yes, just getting to know your nurse, letting her know what you want, what kind of birth experience you want to have, and then that way we, as your advocate, literally, can make sure we collaborate with your provider, your midwife, your OB, or whoever to make sure that you have the best birth experience possible.
Right, right, right.
And not just that nurse, but like even going on into like postpartum, because we will give that
Yeah.
report to the postpartum nurse as well. And we can tell the postpartum nurse, she had a traumatic experience with lactation the last time.
Right.
So breastfeeding is a little bit sensitive for
Right.
her. So we
Yep.
might need to approach it in this way. So literally the very first nurse that you meet, we start to build that report and it follows you literally through your whole stay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that's why it's just super, super important to build that relationship with your nurse, which is why it's so important for us to be there. That's why
Exactly. Like literally,
it's giving main character energy.
yeah.
Very much main character.
Big nurse, not the little one. Okay. Ari, not the little one. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Gosh.
Uh,
But yeah, shout out to the nurse.
shout out to the applause for y'all. Applause for y'all. And you know what? While we're talking about like the relationship, the patient is just a big role, right?
Mhm.
Like we are here for you. So if you are standoffish or you don't like a lot of energy, like you don't like a lot of people, you don't like a lot of interaction, things overstimulate you. You a big role in this,
Yeah.
okay?
If you don't like your mother-in-law, you can tell me like in secret, and I will figure out a way to get her out of there. If you want to just, I don't know, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
I will figure out a way to get everybody out of the room.
I'm your ride or die.
I will
Okay?
figure it out.
The nurse is your ride or die. The patient, we 10 toes down. Okay.
You're- Till the wheels fall off.
And we need you to be the same way.
Please,
We need the patient to be the same
please.
way.
I can promise you, we are here to support you. And I know,
Your benefit, not your detriment.
mm,
Yeah. We're here for your benefit and not your detriment.
I'm gonna write that down. That
That
was
would be
good.
like quote of the week.
That was good. That was good. That was very good. But we wouldn't I feel like we wouldn't be us if we didn't even talk about this little piece. But there are not a lot of black labor nurses. There are not a lot of black OB,
Yep.
women's health nurses,
Yep.
and they're more likely than not your nurse is not going to look like you.
Yes.
More often than
Yes.
not, them nurses just not going to look like you. But I
Oh, we are still,
but
we
I
are
don't.
still the minority.
We are
Okay.
very much so, very much so. But I don't want that to deter you from being
Right.
honest and letting your nurse still know how you feel.
Right.
Because
Because let me tell you, if somebody has a problem with a black nurse walking in the room, they're gonna say something. They're gonna say something.
immediately,
I don't want that nurse in here. They'll
immediately.
say something. And I'm not saying that y'all go in there and do that because that is not okay. But they'll say something.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So you shouldn't say it like that, but you should say something.
Yes. Yes. So, I don't want that. I was trying not to say what was on my tongue. But I don't want you to deter you. I don't want your nurse not looking like you, whether she's white or whatever,
Asian
or whatever, to deter
Filipino.
you from being honest and still getting the birth experience that you want.
Right.
If something is not going the way you want it to, speak up and say, I don't know, something isn't right. Like, I don't feel like I'm being heard. Let me tell you something. The first time you tell a nurse, I feel like I'm not being heard, baby, she's gonna pull up a stool.
Yep.
And she's gonna listen to everything that you say.
Yep.
She's gonna, because at the end of the day, and I know what the numbers say. So somewhere along the line, yes, somebody is not being listened to, but I feel like at least, and I can only speak for obviously the nurses that I have come in contact with, no matter what color they are, we are working for you as the patient.
Yes.
They are 100% on your side. We want what you want, and we want to keep you safe. We want to get you home.
Yep.
You and your baby.
Yep.
And so, with that being said, again, I don't want it to deter you from voicing what you need because your nurse doesn't look like you. And if
you know what?
And if she
They
can't get you what
don't
you
be
need, I promise you, she's gonna find you somebody who can.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
She's gonna find you somebody who
Okay.
can.
You took it right off my tongue.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Shout out to the nurses.
listen, we'll talk about nurses all day, clearly. But
Nurses and patients. Shout out to the patients.
shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. If it wasn't for y'all, there would be no us. Okay. Now, depending on what kind of birth you want to have,
Baby, because I know.
this next person on your delivery team, you might be like, forget the nurse. Where's this person? Where's this person?
Because I'm ready.
And that's the anesthesia team. 'Cause
Hello.
listen,
Hello.
maybe if you're like me and you ain't really trying to feel no contraction.
Okay, don't deter the people like that. Do not give them false information.
Okay,
And you know what I mean. And you know what I mean.
Okay, let me tell you the reason I said that.
Okay.
Because I want a C-section. I don't want to go in labor. We'll talk about birth preferences later. That's just me. That's me. That's just Bria talking. Don't let me deter you.
I was going to say, I'm a midwife. I wholeheartedly believe in unmedicated, holistic.
All birth is natural.
All birth is natural. I wholeheartedly 1000% believe in that.
Yeah.
Baby, I know my strengths and my weaknesses.
Okay.
I want an epidural.
Numb me up, baby.
I want an epidural.
Numb me up. Okay.
I want a happy dog.
Where the consent form?
I'll sign it
Now, I was signing in the office, actually. You can go ahead. I'm going to let you know now. But your anesthesia team consists of an anesthesiologist, as well as oh boy, here we go. My tongue and my teeth.
I believe in you.
Nurse. A CRNA.
Okay. I was just certified nurse anesthetist.
Bro,
Like anesthetics.
I know. I can say anesthetics, but the anesthetic. Yeah, that's how I feel. Mush mouth from Fat Albert, hubba hubba. That's how I feel trying to come out of my mouth. But those two people are who take care of you when it comes to getting your epidurals, when you're in labor. If you are planning on having a C-section, they will do your spinals in the OR. Say you already have an epidural and something is not right with it. We feel like it's not working. As the nurse will call anesthesia, they come fix it. They can give you a little extra medicine, whatever you need. When it comes to pain control,
Them your folks.
those are the people that you call. Those are your people.
Yeah. And let me tell you, A CRNA,
baby, make the world go round. I'm telling you.
when you got a good
I'm telling
CRNA,
you.
you might anything can happen today. And I am
Said CRNA made the world go around. And because again, that's another person who has had that nursing experience. They have that nurse
they have
element under their
some
belt.
kind of nursing capacity. And you know what? A lot of them, I think it's requirement. You have to have some kind of like,
People care.
yeah, yeah. So they, if anything is gonna go in the trash that day, if it's gonna be what we call a sugar honey iced tea storm,
A shit show. I'll say it.
if it's a shit storm, it's that's who I want. I want the CRNA.
Yeah, because they get the good sticks.
Yeah,
You're at a bad stick and you gotta call the CRNA. They get on the first try.
yeah.
It's so embarrassing.
It is. It is.
So embarrassing.
Why you made me look stupid like this?
It's so embarrassing.
Do you remember that time we were in the OR and one of our favorite CRNAs stuck that one right between their girl's toes that day?
I wasn't there, but I heard about it.
Oh
I
my
don't think I
god!
was like present for it happening, but I heard about it. Yes.
It was like glorious to watch. I was like,
See,
yep, yep, it's you.
I'm telling
She's
you.
been doing this like umpteen.
Oh man. Oh
Umpteen
man.
years.
She's the great. She's the greatest. Even in some emergencies, like.
Yeah,
But that's kind of like and that's the anesthesiologist. That's their right hand.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if emergencies are
They
going
in
down,
communication.
literally, like I've seen them intubating patients, and it's just like this. They work as such a good team. Like the CRNA has got the glide scope, and the two, and they're all working
Right,
together
right,
to
right.
to get the
They
to
all
get you
looking at
taken
the
care of.
same monitors. They want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. So
So-
shout out, just shout out to them, okay? Because listen,
Hello.
anesthesia makes it work. Anesthesia makes it work. So that's kind of like your like that direct patient
Yeah,
care.
direct hospital staffy.
Yeah.
Like-
Now these other people do work for the hospital, but you might not see them like actually like put hands on you. So,
Right.
like
Okay,
they don't
okay,
necessarily
okay.
like provide direct care, but they're super important to this whole team. Um, and so the next people we're going to talk about are your surge techs and your CNAs.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, baby.
Because listen,
I don't love a good CNA.
and the CNAs get. I be seeing a lot of memes about CNAs, and I'm like, not too much on not too much on the NAs.
All right. So CNAs.
Yes. CNAs and surge techs. So your surge techs are who you will see assisting doctors in procedures.
Mhm.
Like they're the ones who set up the tables. They know the instruments.
I was about to say they know where the instruments are.
Let me tell you something. Surge techs are so intelligent.
Yes.
Because baby, if I know what about I know a few. I got you with like a Kelly,
No.
a needle driver,
I was about to say about that.
and a ring.
We know the basics.
And a ring.
Like, does it clip or does it clamp? That's all you got.
I know a deaver because it's flat like a beaver. I know little things like that. But baby, I can say the surgeon is like,
Can I get a medicine ball?
and then surgeon take just back right in the hand.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, huh? They know what suture to use when.
I'm on a 3.0 chromic on a CC.
Huh?
Is it in the blue packet or
Right. I mean, the nurse look over against the wall, just right. And the NA is like 3 spaces down to the left on the right. Okay, she here, and I'm gonna just open it and plop it on the mayo. So, surge techs are absolutely amazing. Surge techs, you might see them on the floor, like setting up delivery tables,
Mhm.
and then of course your CNAs, which some hospitals have surge techs but not CNAs, and then some hospitals have CNAs but not surge techs.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
floor,
yeah,
like
yeah.
on L&D, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the hospital I'm at now, the surge techs typically just stay in the OR portion, and we have CNAs on the floor.
Okay.
So your you will see CNAs setting up delivery tables, and helping with deliveries and things like that, plus doing
But they don't
CNA
go to
things.
the OR.
But they do not go to the OR.
Okay.
because-
Versus like the hospital that I'm at, there's not CNAs,
Correct.
but there's surge techs on the floor that do those types of things.
The setup
Like set
tables
up
and things like that.
tables,
And
the
they can go to the OR.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So again, that's one of those staff that a lot of people don't know that they're there, but as the nurse, you know they're there
Yeah.
because let me tell you something. Now, if they're not there, you definitely feel when their presence isn't there.
Yes. Yes.
You're gonna be able to tell it in those 12 hours when you don't have an NA or you don't have a surge tech.
Yeah. And then like the NAs that are on postpartum, they do like baby weights and baby vitals.
Yeah, a lot of the NA they actually do the baths. Like that first bath,
Ah.
yes. Yes.
See, look at that. NAs make the world go.
I'm telling you, every time. Every time.
Make the world go.
Every time. Every time. This next person is another one of those people that I'm gonna just say it, they're doulas. So
Okay.
a doula is a part of your birth experience if you have access. Which we're gonna talk about not having access to a doula one of these days because I feel like everybody should have access to a doula
Every
if they want one.
single person should have. And you know what? It's not even like if they want one or if they don't, because everybody needs support.
Yeah,
It's like therapy. Everybody needs therapy.
everybody needs some couch time. Okay, everybody. But yes, so doulas are they are not medically trained professionals, but they have
Okay.
not
Okay.
medically
Which is
trained.
medically.
They are not medically trained professionals, but they have taken courses to learn how to support women in birth, in labor and postpartum.
Postpartum.
I think postpartum doulas are really like coming up to the forefront, and people are like,
They should.
"Wow, I need one of those."
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something.
We're creating it in the budget. It's in the
It's
budget.
going in the budget. It's going in the budget, babe. It's going in the budget. I need a postpartum doula. But doulas are there, and I think
They provide like physical and emotional support,
yes,
right? Okay.
yes. And I think a lot of people think like doulas are there for the unmedicated birthing, person. But
Right.
doulas can be there for
Everything.
everything. They can
Everything.
be there just simply to help because doulas do know a lot about like labor terms and things like that.
Yes.
And so they can be there to help families understand like okay, they're thinking about breaking your water or if I say something like oh, AROM, SROM, and the family's kind of looking at me like, what does that mean? The doula can step in and be like, oh, AROM means
Artificial
artificially rupture
rupture
of
membranes.
membrane.
Right.
SROM means, spontaneous
Spontaneous
rupture
rupture.
of membrane.
Yeah.
So doulas
Yeah.
are there in that aspect just to help families understand what's going on in the birthing process. But they don't always have to be there just because you're unmedicated.
Right. Right.
And like I said, some people I saw on social media that someone had hired a doula and they were in the hospital, but the doula was at home with the other kids because that's where they
Ah,
needed the support. Like a doula is there to support you in any capacity that you need the support in. Like they didn't need support at the hospital;
were
they
they
needed
paying
support
her
at
for
home.
that?
Yes,
Oh,
a
they were
night
paying
spent.
for her
Yes,
like
like that
that.
was like during their because you meet with a doula at the beginning
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
establish care, what you need. What's the price? Like because it's a business.
I was gonna say, and what is the price? Like, do you know off the top of your head how much it is for a doula?
I feel like it was a comma in it. I know that much.
What?
And the
Okay.
number didn't start with a 1.
So is it like per birth? Like per family? Because maybe I'm in the wrong profession.
Huh. Listen, don't think it ain't a tab open on my phone that looks up dual certifications. Cause listen, but why do I feel like it was like 5K? But they had her for a while. Like this wasn't just a one day kind of thing. Like they were gonna have that doula when they went home.
Okay.
Like the doula was
Okay.
gonna help with home stuff and helping mama do this with but like she was like they had again but that's like I'm sure that price was cool because they had her for a certain amount of time if
Got
you
you.
only need a
Got you.
doula for labor then I'm sure the price is different
It's
um
like, can we work out like a payment plan?
I'm sure but you know what if I meet with you in week 10 and I don't need you until week 40 maybe it is a little you say afterpay like a fern
Can we do?
Klarna something maybe let me work something out too
Look,
like you
I
stand
was about
like
to say,
something you something
because I mean, okay, like if we do feel like that, we could work out a payment plan. Like, oh, my price is $5,000. However, if we start at week 10,
I need to be paid in full by the time you had this baby
right?
doable
Okay. Okay.
Again, in the budget. 'Cause, yeah, shout out to the doulas because as a nurse, I have had some fantastic
Yes.
deliveries with
Yes.
doulas.
I've also had some where I'm like,
You're in my way.
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
You're in my way. You're also in the patient's way.
Yeah.
You're really not acting in the patient's way.
Like, why are you on your cell phone and she crying?
Don't get me started because why was I helping the mama breastfeed and her doula was standing right there learning and watching from me? Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do it because it's my job,
Right.
but like it's also your job too.
Exactly.
But anyway,
We digress.
that's what it's. But again, I think that taps into being very aware of the doula that you hire,
Okay.
um, and making sure you know what their experience level is. There are some people that are popping up and saying they're doulas and they've only attended a few like they haven't done a lot of extensive like birth work, if that
Okay.
makes
Yes.
sense.
I mean,
They've been
your
around
best
it.
friend, she ain't your doula,
And
baby.
she can be a support person,
Absolutely.
but she is not the doula. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because doulas do go through a specific training
Yes.
to learn about different positions with with birth and helping moms
Yep.
transition, and you really create that relationship throughout the pregnancy so that by the time you get to labor you are locked in with that
Yep.
doula. She
Yep.
knows what you need. If you say this, she knows what you mean. And I've even, like I said, it doesn't always have to be a an unmedicated birth. Like for
Right.
example, I had a patient. This was a while back, maybe like last year. No, probably the year before. Patient came in. It was baby number one, two. I don't know. Had a doula. Was planning to go unmedicated. Got to like seven and just was trying to transition into that but just couldn't break through it, and her cervix had started to swell and it was just a lot of thing. But the doula, I mean, like when I say you mean that doula was in there, like I was moving the bed, the lights were down, it was great. The doula was fantastic. She had the tennis balls out. Like that doula knew her stuff.
Right. Okay.
She
Okay.
knew
Yeah.
her stuff. Ironically, she said she remembered me. She said I delivered one of her babies. It was great. It was great.
Okay.
But the patient had kind of got to this point. I was like, we're going in a direction that we don't want to
Want to
go
go.
in.
Right.
This cervix is swelling. Each time I check her, it's not as thin as it was
Was
the full time
before.
before. And so I sat down, I looked at the doula, I looked at the patient, I looked at the dad, and I was like, we're going in a direction that none of us in this room want to go. She's past the point of IV pain medication because she's 7 centimeters,
Right.
but she needs to we gotta find a way to get
Get
her
her
to
through
relax and
transition.
cope through these last 3 centimeters, literally. And of course they asked for their options. I was like, there's at the time, I feel like it was still COVID, so we weren't doing nitrous oxide,
Okay. Okay.
which is like laughing gas. We weren't doing that yet. So her only option was
Was
an
an
epidural.
epidural. But the doula can stay through the epidural.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
like you're there to support as well.
In any
So
capacity.
yeah.
Yes. And so she ended up getting the doula. I said, I'll come back. You guys talk about it. The doula, you guys talk about it. Let me know what you want to do. I walked out, waited a few minutes. They called me back in. They said she wants to do an epidural. Literally got her an epidural. The doula stayed the whole time. Got her an epidural. Baby, I put her on that peanut ball. She took an hour nap, woke up, pushed for 20 minutes, and had
Had baby. That's how you do it.
Now
okay.
that's how you supposed to shoot. From now on, that's how you shoot.
But again, that's that working collaboratively with the nurse.
Right.
I raise it's a few red flags that pop up when I read things that doulas say, and they're bashing hospitals and they're bashing nurses.
I've run into two solid, like, you are an amazing doula. I've had one for like two births at a hospital, and then I had actually a black doula a couple weeks ago, and her t-shirt said, I doula this, and I
Oh, that's
fell
so
in love.
cute.
Anyway, she was absolutely amazing. Like she had been there with this patient the entire time, like knew how she was, how she coped.
Mhm.
Like they were definitely on like first name basis.
Mhm.
Auntie niece kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
I can get you together real
yeah,
quick.
yeah,
And I was like, I like you.
yeah,
I said, how long you been doing
yeah.
this? Are your services free?
Yeah, so that's just so important. Just how doulas can really make or break because, and I tell you why I think. that
Everybody
everybody should have
one.
access, because sometimes doulas are just there just because somebody is there and they don't have anybody.
Yeah.
I've had a 19-year-old patient come in, rocked labor, unmedicated. I mean, did her thing. She was there by herself. She had a family member come later after the baby was born, but it wasn't like a mom. I think it was like an auntie or something came, and she didn't even stay the whole time. Like, she had to go. Like, she just came to and I was like, gosh, she could really use a doula. Just as somebody just to be there, because she gonna be tired in a minute. Like, just somebody to
Anybody.
somebody to be there.
But you know what? Okay. So yes and no to that. As you were talking, I was like, like hospitals should really incorporate a free doula service, right? Um, or even a support, because a lot of Hispanic women will come in by themselves and have babies by themselves. We should advocate for multicultural doulas.
But you know what? I'm so funny that you said that, because this patient was Hispanic. The one that came in, the young one.
I'm
She was Hispanic.
Okay, so we should we're gonna start that. We should do that.
I'm gonna bring that up.
We should,
And not just for people who are by themselves, but imagine is you and your husband here, you do not speak the language that all your providers speak. And yeah, there's an interpreter here, but like,
the interpreter is on the stick. Okay, it's a video.
Sometimes it's just a video. Sometimes we can't get an in-person interpreter here at the bedside. So imagine having somebody here who speaks your language and can tell you and can comfort you and support you in your own, like, your native language.
That would be awesome. But you know what? It's gonna have to be a volunteer service. Like, people are just gonna have to be able to do that in their own free time, because a lot of people that come in like that can't afford the $5,000 doula.
Yeah. Or even the $1,000, like, it's just $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that.
I will say the practice that I worked for, the hospital does offer volunteer doulas. The caveat is, like, you don't get them through your whole prenatal care.
It's kind of like just at the end. Like, if you need one, there's one.
And I don't think that they are multicultural, now that I say that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into it, though.
I think that would be a big
I was gonna
thing.
say, and if it's not, I think that's something I could talk to somebody and we could probably implement that.
That would
get started.
Huge. That would be huge to have that in place.
I'm gonna jot that down.
Shout out to the doulas.
Shout out to the doulas.
Shout out to the doulas.
Y'all are amazing.
Now,
Right.
let me tell you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about this person. Let me tell you about this first person that's coming up. This is a really be making or breaking the whole thing. And that is your support person.
Baby.
Keyword being support. Okay.
You got one job to support her.
Support and whoever is in that bed.
Right. The birthing person. And if you are the person that helped conceive the child that is here,
you really need to be over here.
Baby, you had one job and you fulfilled
that first part. Get over here. Get over here. Okay. So your support person is literally the person that you have chosen to bring into the hospital with you and support you. I know during COVID, it was only one person. Like, you could literally have one person at the bedside.
A lot of hospitals have lifted their restrictions now.
They've lifted their restrictions. You can, I know the hospital I was just at, you could have four people.
Okay. So speaking on that, check your hospital restrictions,
please.
Because for me, you got a good solid 2.
Oh, really?
So I think maybe it might be 3. It's definitely 1 in triage. You can only have 1 in triage. I think maybe you could do.
It is 1 in triage where I'm at too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
1 in
think
triage.
You can do 2 on L&D, and then you have 3 on postpartum.
Okay. Yeah.
But check your places and check the age requirements. Because I worked at a hospital where if you were under the age of 18, baby, you are not getting past.
I know at one point it was like 12. If you were under the age of 12, you couldn't come in.
See, so
that's important. Yes, check your visitor policy when it comes to support persons and people who are coming to visit you.
Yep.
But with your support person, it needs to be somebody who supports you
in all your choices,
in all of your choices,
in all your decision making.
Yes, whatever that decision may be, whether it's to go unmedicated, get an epidural, breastfeed, bottle feed, whatever your choice is, make sure your support person is supporting you in that
Yep.
realm.
Yep.
Um,
And if your support person gonna hit you with something like, I didn't birth 12 babies and I never had an epidural, that
Guess
ain't,
what?
and you want one,
Baby,
that ain't that. That
don't
ain't
let
the
that
support
convince.
person.
Don't let that influence you.
That is
Do
not
not
the
let that
person.
influence you, and don't let that make you feel like you aren't as strong as someone else
Right.
because you chose to do it differently. Your
And you know
birthday.
what? I was going to say, back in the day, that grandmama that had them 12, that wasn't an option.
Baby, you didn't have epidural. She had that baby on the couch. Okay, that wasn't an option
In the living room.
That wasn't an option. Okay.
Just support.
So many things have changed, even since we were born. Like, you could say things to my mother, and she's like, "What?" So even just 30 years back,
Yeah.
things were different. I mean, hell, even 10 years back, I feel like things
Things
were
are
different.
different.
Things were different. Things are. This is medicine. Things are constantly changing
Yep.
and improving. So yeah, make sure your support person is supporting you in every aspect, in every way that they can, whether it's making sure you have fresh water and ice, making sure that, I don't know, your cell phone is close to you. I don't know, whatever you need. Whatever you need, make sure that they are supporting you. Now, I'm talking about support persons.
It can be anybody.
It can be anybody. It can be the father of your baby. If he or she is not in the picture, then it can be your mama. It can be your best friend. It can
Your
be
daddy.
your auntie, your whoever. Whoever. Hell, it can be me as a nurse. I'm gonna support you, girl. I will sit in this room and chart all day if that's what you need. But it's who is there to support you. Now, there's a soapbox I'm about to jump on.
It's okay, because the people need to hear
that the girlies on Twitter, they were not happy with me when I brought this up. The girls were hot at me, but I still stand on this. It's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Oh, okay. Okay. If you say it and I jump,
If you are the support person for the person that's laying in that bed giving birth, if you are their support person, don't you bring nothing that requires a controller into that room. I don't Xbox, PS4, 5, whatever. Don't you bring that in here. Don't you? You can go a few days. You can go a couple days without playing that.
I hate when they bring their PlayStation in there. It absolutely.
And no, I don't have an HDMI cord. No, I don't have one.
So to hook up to the TV.
And it's in my way.
It is in my way. It usually is in my way.
It's in my way. And now, if something nasty get on it, don't look over here because it's in my area that I work in. So you can't get mad if it gets splashed or something.
Oh my
nasty.
God. I hate when, because let me tell
You
you.
will bring a whole separate TV in. A whole separate TV in. And
know
look
you
at,
lying.
I know I'm not gonna lie on this podcast. No, I'm not lying. TV under one arm, PlayStation in a duffel bag, like just coming to set up shop.
I see.
Not in this room.
Because let me tell you, I'm the one that's going to call you out. When I hear that 2K buzzer go off.
When they had none left. What? What is he doing?
You lost. Get over here. Your game is over.
Time out. Time out.
Put that headset that you're talking to your friend on, tell them you gotta go. The game is over.
You're going to miss it.
You're gonna miss it. They gotta play without you.
got time for that.
Oh my God. Okay. Now,
Leave that play box at home. Leave it at home.
the only one exception I will allow a PlayStation in the room is if that's mama's coping mechanism.
Okay.
She got a controller and you got a controller,
Okay.
and that's how she's like mentally keeping her mind
Y'all
off
playing-
whatever.
I don't know what y'all play now.
I don't know. Fortnite.
Yeah,
2K,
something. Whatever the
Madden.
playing.
I don't know.
Whatever y'all be playing. I'm old. I don't know.
Whatever the game box do.
Whatever the play boxes be doing. I didn't know it. Whatever, that okay, yes.
Only exception. I've only seen that like once, and they were like big anime people, and so
Yeah.
but it kept her mind off of it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Or, okay, second exception.
Oh boy.
You are like being on bed rest at the hospital for whatever reason, like on antepartum.
Okay. Yes.
Like
Yes.
y'all gonna be there for a couple weeks, then it's
Okay.
then it's okay.
Okay.
And I I don't want to hear y'all men folk get on this podcast and get in our DMs and stuff and be like, I'm bringing my PlayStation because
She don't care. Yes, she do.
Yes, she
Yes, she does.
Yes,
She does care.
And if she doesn't, she will care in that moment.
She does care. She does care.
Yeah.
Your attention should be
On
her. You can go a couple days without it. You can go a couple days.
really
You gonna be
you
fine.
really can.
You gonna be fine. The player that you made, whatever, he ain't going nowhere.
You hit save before you.
As you saved him, he's fine. He's not going anywhere. But yes, support person. And listen, now let me tell you something. It's not always the men folk that are not good support people. Sometimes it be y'all mamas too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes, and I know we love our mamas. Me and Shay love our mamas.
Yeah.
Love my mama.
I love my
I'm not taking birth advice from her. We are two very different people when it comes to stuff like that.
Okay.
I know me and I know my mama. No, no, love her down. She can stay. You can be in here, but if I decide to push, which you know that's not my goal. If I decide to do that,
Gotta leave.
she got to go. Oh, she got to go because she's squeamish. She don't like stuff like that.
Okay.
Or pull the curtain. She
Okay.
stay behind the curtain.
Okay.
She can't be on this side.
Hear her down.
Judy, no, ma, no. No. Sometimes the mamas don't be the best support person because I think they can sometimes influence patients to do or not do things that they don't really want to do. That's not what their choice is. Breastfeeding, bottle feeding. Again, Shay and I talked about, like mamas in the 90s when our mamas wasn't doing a lot of breastfeeding. I feel like in the going into the 2000s, late 2000s is when we started to see like an influx of Black women breastfeeding.
Yes.
And so sometimes our mamas are kind of like,
girl, get that baby a bottle.
Get that baby a bottle. Put some cereal in there.
We're not gonna hit on that. We're not gonna hit on that.
No. So again, make sure that your support person is supporting you in a healthy way, in a supportive,
respectful way.
Yes. Because sometimes our mamas like to mama us. Mamas like to mama their baby because I think you don't ever turn mama mode off. But also, your baby is about to have a baby.
Yeah.
And so, mama, it's so hard for mamas to just let it be.
Yeah.
And it can really, it starts to not be so supportive in the delivery room. Yeah. So yes. But the last person that, you might see is just someone from NICU. Love the NICU. Down. Love.
I'd rather have you and not need you than need you and not have you.
Yes. Not everybody, will see the NICU team. We usually call the NICU to deliveries if, we sense like maybe there might be an issue. Baby's heart rate might be doing some weird things.
Because I'll be like, look, I just wanted to put this on your radar.
We have them just literally, sometimes they come in the room, they're at the delivery, they don't even have to touch the baby.
Right.
But we have them there just in the event that something might not go the way we want it to. We have somebody who's extensively trained in babies.
Right.
Granted, me and Shay can do babies. We can do the basics.
To an extent.
I can,
you start talking about intubating and stuff.
Whoa, you lost me. Because
you lost me.
I don't do that. Little CPAP, PPP,
sure.
deep suction. I can handle that.
Anything you start talking about IVs and you lost.
I need the real baby people here to do that. So you might see the NICU team, you might not. But if we would much rather have them there and not need them, than need them and baby, they ain't there.
I'd rather have you and like you come in around and baby come out kicking and screaming and crying and I'd be like, hey, we good.
Don't want to die. We're good.
We're good. Thanks.
We are good. But or your baby come out and it's just not wanting to inhale, and it's like, well, damn,
that baby is like, yeah, I've done enough today.
I'm gonna piss everybody off in this room. Okay, all right, Benji. All right, you did not have to start your life off that way. You didn't. You didn't have to do that. But so we talked about a lot of people, but all these people are so important in your birth experience. There are even some people we might have missed off, like lactation.
Yep. What? Yeah. You know what? We will have a whole conversation on the lactation
'Cause
consultant.
helping mamas breastfeed makes me sweat, literally. It can be easy, and I will immediately just start sweat. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
And
Like the minute I start, it's like I can feel it starting to go down. I'm like, yo, what is going on? It just immediately makes me sweat. And I just cannot figure out why. I love to help mamas do it. I just immediately start sweating.
see, I'm like, I'm the nurse. That ain't my ministry, but I will put a baby in a football hole like nobody's business.
Put your hand right here. Put as much of this titty in this baby's mouth as you can.
Right. And be cross cradling and all the arms and no football.
You start talking about pulling out spoons, and I am,
Syringes?
do what? Let me call somebody.
Okay.
Let me call somebody that can help
Have you
me.
talked to lactation today?
I'm gonna call them because they are experts. They are experts in this. But yes, so many wonderful people that are going to be, that might or may not be a part of your birth experience, but everybody is just so important. Shay, you got anything else you want to add?
You think we got time for questions
Yeah,
really quickly?
yeah.
All right, Bria. How long is this gonna take? Like the people who come in for labor, and they're like, "How long is this gonna take?" This question literally comes from like everybody. 4 days.
Whoa, I don't say that long.
How long do you say? I mean,
I
including
say
like,
don't plan on having a baby the day you come in.
Okay.
And that, now, have I seen it happen? Absolutely.
But even still, they're still held for like 20,
At least
24 hours.
At least 24 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think don't plan on having a baby the day you come in, and just know that it can be a process. It can be a process. Don't rush it. We got you. We got you. We got you. We are going to stick beside you and advocate for you. It really just depends. There's no set answer on how long inductions or labor can take. Sometimes do we get the guess right? Sure. Sometimes we are 100% wrong.
Yeah.
So it really just depends. It really just depends.
I agree with that.
I can't wait to answer more questions. I know y'all are gonna hear this episode and be like, oh my God, I have a lot I want to say. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy. Bye.